us as we got to break down Chiefs, Bengals, K-State, TCU. We'll get into a little World Cup, go around the NFL. Lot to discuss, a lot to get to on this Red Friday edition of Mic'd Up. Jake and Fulton caster with you. As always, hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. Let us know your thoughts on our Twitter page at Sports on 580 on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube. You can watch the show. Very simple, very easy. Go to youtube.com, search Sports on 580. Very simple, very easy. You can go to our website, 580www.com. Get out all the links is there, as we'd love to get your thoughts and your predictions for the biggest game for K-State since when? When would be the if they win this, this is the biggest win for Kansas State since when? We're going to get to that coming up today. We're going to talk with Landry Burdine. We talked with him before the K-State TCU game earlier this year. We'll get a little insight on this TCU Horned Frog team. And then we'll talk with John Sheeran, covers the Bengals for the Orange and Black Bengals podcast. We'll get a little thoughts on the Bengals coming up on Sunday. But it is time for our Chiefs keys. I've got 3 of them in this one because this is a monster game. I've got 3 of them. The most important aspect is getting to Joe Burrow. You got to pressure him. You got to get him on the ground. If you have a chance to sack him, you have to sack him. Because when he is sacked more than 3 times, they lose. If you can get after Joe Burrow, and more than likely, 1 sack, a drive, means they're not getting a first down. So that's 3 punts you're forcing this Bengals team already. There's probably going to be about 10 possessions each in this game. Low key, Mitch Holtis on his Chiefs Kingdom podcast, the Bengals are 3rd in time of possession. The Chiefs tend to, give up a first down or 2. So I think this is going to be limited possessions. So if you're able to get to Joe Burrow, you get a couple sacks. Drive stop, you have to punt. The best way to help out a young secondary against what we think will be a full complement of Bengal wide receivers. Now, we don't know how good Jamar Chase is going to be. He might play, but he might not be Jamar Chase, But the best thing to help out a secondary is to get a pass rush. Chris Jones up the middle. Dunlap, Karlaftis, Mike Dana, Frank Clark. That's the biggest key in this one. If you get to Burrow, the Chiefs will win this football game.
Yeah, I think pressuring Joe's important. How much it matters. Burrow's one of those quarterbacks that's still decently good under pressure. I think it's still important, but it's one of the things to where he still might be able to get some things done. My first key is a very simple one for this game. You have to keep a lid on this Bengals offense. Because if you think back to the game that they lost in Cincinnati, it's because Jamar Chase went full Randy Moss.
Yes.
That's why. If you think about every big play the Bengals kept making, everything that kept the Bengals alive in that game, even what really started getting back into the game in Kansas City in the AFC title game, it was big passing plays down the field. You have new corners. You have new safeties. You have an entirely different secondary than what you had in those last 2 games. Pressuring Burrow helps, even limiting this facet. But the fact of the matter is, even under pressure, Burrow's going to throw a field to Jamar Chase and just say, Jamar, go get it. You need to be better and actually contest the catch point. Because if the Bengals are getting those plays again, you are setting yourself up to lose another time. You can't let them get those gigantic chunk plays down the field. You have to keep a lid on this offense.
Number 2 for me, and the best way I can describe this is take what is there. We know Patrick Mahomes has said, hey, the way that I have evolved is, hey, dumping it down to the running back. The Bengals dropped 8 a bunch in that second half. They changed things up, and Mahomes did not adjust to it well. But take what is there for Patrick Mahomes, okay? If it's not there down the field, check it down. Throw it to Jerick McKinnon for a 5-yard route. Maybe he ends up gaining 5 yards after the catch. That's, 10 yards. That's first down. Throw it to Juju on a little crossing route. Maybe he makes one guy miss and he takes it 30 yards. Throw it to Travis Kelce. Take what is there. That's for Patrick Mahomes, but also for Andy Reid. Take what is there. If they're dropping 8, or they only got five in the box or 6 in the box, run the football. Run the football. Take what is there. Don't be too proud when it comes to this offense. If it's 1st and 10, you also have to mix it up, okay? You can't just always go run on first down. Oh, it's 2nd and long, then we're going to pass it. Because that's what the Chiefs did in the game against the Bengals. They would run it on first down, nothing there. Or they'd pass it on first down and it's 2nd and long and then pass it again. Sometimes if it's 2nd and 7 and they've got 6 guys in the box, sometimes it's okay to run it on 2nd and 7. I'm not saying do it all the damn time, but take what is there. That is what I want this Chiefs team to do in this game. Okay? The Bengals are not great at stopping the run, but they're not terrible. Like they're not awful. So that's why I think they know the best way to beat the Bengals is to throw the football. And that's what they did in the title game. Take what is there if you are Andy Reid and you are Patrick Mahomes. It is okay to do death by a quadrillion paper cuts. Okay? In fact, sometimes that can be kind of nice. We're getting a little, psychotic and delusional here. Sometimes it is kind of cool to drive 15 plays on a team and then end it with a touchdown. I mean, that is demoralizing, but take what is there. Don't force it. Patrick Mahomes in the end zone against the Rams. Just run it. It's not there. Kick field goal, take your 3 points, right? Don't force it. Don't force it.
No, that not forcing it and keeping things in more of a rhythm is important because that's what threw them out so much in the AFC title game. For me, my second key, you need to protect Mahomes. And here's the thing when it comes to the Bengals. They're in the bottom half of the league in sacks.
They have a guy.
Yeah. They have Trey Hendrickson.
That's it.
Which makes you think, wow, Fulton, why does protecting Pat matters? The defensive line sucks. The Bengals are 5th in the NFL in quarterback knockdown percentage.
They're like the Chiefs.
Essentially, they don't get home, but they get to you.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way to protect Mahomes. You don't need him. You don't need this to be the game where all those knockdowns for the Bengals turn into sacks. You don't need this to be the game where all the quarterback hits turn into sacks, where the hurries turn to sacks. You don't need this to be the game where the Bengals pressure finally gets home. This is a defensive line for the Bengals, even a linebacking core when they blitz, that this offensive line should be able to hold their own against. They should be able to handle this and should be able to keep Mahomes from taking all these unnecessary shots and are able to let them work and keep the offense ahead of schedule. But this is still a Bengals defensive line that if you're not focused, if you're not on your A game, which we've seen this offensive line very much has a propensity to do, they'll get home. They'll cause problems. So stay focused, protect Mahomes. This is a line that can try to find a way to get home. Don't let this be the game where they start figuring it out.
And normally we just do 2 keys, but because this game is so big and I think it is personal, and we've heard that the Chiefs players mention that, a time or two. We talked about this on Tuesday. If the Chiefs go 4 or 5 in the red zone getting touchdowns, they're not losing this game. They're not. That means they're scoring 30 points or more. You get 4 touchdowns, it's 28 points, throwing another field goal and throwing another touchdown outside of the red zone, you're looking at 31 points. Score in the red zone. You go 1 of 5 in the red zone, the Chiefs will get beat. The Chiefs will get beat if they go 1 of 5 in the red zone. You have to find a way to score in the red zone. It's that important for this Chiefs team. So that's why I included that in this kind of third key for me in this one. It's if they do those three things, if they score in the red zone and are efficient, 2 of 3, 3 of 4, 3 of 5 even, that will be good enough. If you take what is there and if you get to Joe Burrow, you will win the game. You really will. And the Chiefs' schedule after this, the best team that the Chiefs play after Sunday night is the Seattle Seahawks.
Yep.
That's the best team that they're going to play after Sunday afternoon. When the game is over and the Chiefs are victorious, hopefully by 3 points or more, their next toughest game will be at home against the Seahawks, a defense that gives up more points than Seton Hall did last night. Like that's your schedule.
Yeah.
I think if they win Sunday, they will go 14-3.
Because you think they set the starters last game of the year and basically punt that game.
Yeah, they'll lose to the Raiders because they're going to play Chad Henne or Shane Buechele and, just random dudes. Like Darian Kennard will play. That's why if they beat the Bengals, I don't see them losing to the Broncos, Texans, Seahawks, or Broncos. I just don't. That's how big this game is to me. You get almost a 2 week. You get 2 weeks off. You take off the Raider game. You're going to get the bye, and then you're probably going to face like the Titans probably in the divisional round. Yeah, Titans.
Sure. I'm with you. It's very important to win this game because, I completely agree. If they win this game, they are set up very pretty to pretty much lock up this number 1 seed and get to where they want to be because, their teams they have left after this are all so bad. Like Denver's offense is in such a disarray. You don't imagine the Chiefs losing that game because their offense will find a way to score on Denver's very good defense. You're not worried about facing Kyle Allen at this point in the Houston Texans because Davis Mills was so bad, he got benched. And then you punt the last game of the year because it doesn't matter at that point if you beat the Raiders or not. Like, you're set up in a good spot. Your toughest matchup is beating Geno Smith and the Seahawks on Christmas Eve, but you get that game at home, and that helps. So, no, this game's very important. If you win this, I'm with you. If they win this game, they're going 14-3.
Big Chief, Chris Jones, buddy. This is your revenge game. He has spoken so much about got to get to the quarterback and not finishing the deal. End of the game, Chiefs are up 31-28. Bengals football. 4th and 8. Chris Jones sacked Joe Burrow. Game over. Chiefs win by more than 2.5. Like, this is your game, Chris Jones. It's yours. So my big chief is Chris Jones.
I was trying to kind of go back and forth where I wanted to go with the big chief this week, but you know what? I'm hoping one particular player can back up the words he wants to use this week. My big chief's Justin Reed. You want to sit there and talk smack on Twitter on Hayden Hurst and Jamar Chase? You want to sit there and run your mouth and basically say you're going to keep a lid on this team and it's different because you're here now? Go back it up. Go do it. I think he can, but go do it. Go back up all the stuff you want to say. Because that's always my thing. If you can talk all the smoke you want as a professional football player, but you need to be able to back up the words you say. Because Hurst and Jamar Chase, listen, they heard you. They're going to be coming at you.
And stop them. This is a different type of attitude for this game because the Bucs game, they were talking all that mess and the Chiefs just towed the company line.
Yeah.
We're just going to try to do our best.
There's been some shots fired back by the Chiefs this time.
That's why
and with Justin Reed, the shots were fired first.
That's why this is different. Yeah. It is.
It's much different.
From the Big O Tires text line, does anyone else think that this is a rivalry.
Oh, yes.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, I am.
Because it's only 2 games. It's only 2 games.
Joe Burrow is undefeated against Patrick Mahomes.
I need more. If the Chiefs, and especially how this game goes, right? I need one more game. 2 games don't make it a rivalry. They don't. So I need this one, how this one plays and how they react and what it looks like. Because you can tell on the field. You really, really can. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the Bengals and are they not getting enough love with how they've played since their 0-2 start? We'll discuss that next. Landry Burdine from the TCU Radio Network will join us to talk all things purple. Cat's still 2.5-point dog. Man, it's getting juicy in the college football world. We'll break down TCU, K-State, and KU, Mizzou. Gosh, I love rivalries.
Cowards.
I love that. Not according to Mizzou.
Cowards.
I love it.
They're ducking.
Give it to me.
They're ducking those cowards across the border.
I want it.
I've made this very clear. There is only one team at any level of sport that I actually have a hatred and disdain for. It is the Missouri Tigers. Cowards.
Love it.
Hope they get beaten by 50 by KU next week in Missouri.
The Bengals started 0-2. Since then, they are 7-2. Why aren't they getting enough love? 7-2. 7-2.
It's weird.
7-2.
It's very strange.
They've got the same record, basically, as the Kansas City Chiefs the last 9 games.
They do.
I mean, Chiefs lost to the Colts and to the Bills. The Bengals have lost to the Browns and the Ravens. So aren't they getting enough love? You're 7-4. You win this game, you're 8-4. If you're 8-4, you are 1 game back of the best record in the AFC.
Yeah, they'd be 1 game back of those team Chiefs that they just beat.
Yeah, and they'd be tied.
And they'd own the tiebreaker if they get tied up there. So, I mean, that's huge.
Yep.
I don't know why not enough people are really mentioning how well the Bengals are playing, because they really are.
Now, the Bengals do have a difficult schedule to finish.
Yeah, their back half is brutal.
Their last 4 games, at Bucks, at Patriots, Bills, Ravens.
Not fun.
That is juicy.
And more importantly, that Bills game is when Von Miller is first eligible to come off IR.
Yeah.
So when they play the Bills can also get Von Miller back to make them even better.
Here's my best guess. At least this is how I break it down. Here are the games that the Bengals have played. They played the Titans. Would you consider the Titans' offense fantastic, even with Ryan Tannehill?
Not really.
They have no wide receivers. I'm not sold on the Titan offense. The Steelers.
Bad.
The Panthers.
Not good.
Cleveland with the Brissett.
Not good.
I will say this about Cleveland is that Cleveland's running game is good.
Nick Chubb is one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Yeah, okay. The Saints.
Not good.
The Falcons.
Not great.
Okay. The Ravens offense.
Good. They just can't finish a football game.
Okay. The Jets. That was
outstanding defense.
I'm talking about just offenses.
Terrible.
Yeah. Titans, to me, their offense, Steelers, bad. Panthers, bad. Cleveland, okay. Falcons, no. Saints, no. Ravens,
pretty good.
Kind of.
Lamar alone makes it pretty good.
They can't throw it. The Jets, no.
Because that was Zach Wilson.
That was circa Zach Wilson. They also faced the Dolphins.
Good offense.
But the Dolphins only had Tua for a quarter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was that game.
And then the Bengals won that game.
Yeah.
So they faced, to me, a legitimate offense. We're talking, I mean, do you consider the best offenses that they faced would be do you think the Ravens are a top 10 offense?
No.
Do you think the Falcons?
No.
Cleveland? No. They haven't faced a top 10 offense in this 9-game stretch. Tua got hurt. That's why I think that's the case. Coming up next, we're going to talk TCU, K-State. Also discuss a little bit of the World Cup coming up tomorrow, 9 o'clock. USA versus the Dutch. Throw out your clogs if you've got them. Get rid of them.
There are only two things in this world I hate. Those that are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
The Dutch. What's that?
Austin Powers and Goldmember. Fantastic film. It is the only quote I think of anytime the Dutch come up. I am not kidding you. If I hear about the Netherlands, that quote enters my brain. It's been on repeat for the past week.
The Dutch.
Those that are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
The Dutch.
No hard feelings to
Don't
the Dutch.
wear
I just
orange
love that
tomorrow.
quote.
Don't wear orange. That's all I got. Boy, it's going to be a lot of purple in Arlington at Jerry World. TCU, Kansas State in the Big 12 title game to talk all things TCU. We had him on about a month ago. He is Landry Burdine for the TCU Radio Network, the sideline reporter for the Horned Frogs. Landry, thank you so much for taking the time. And it's a very short drive, I'm guessing, to Arlington for you guys there in Fort Worth.
Yeah, Jake, good to be back on with you, man. It's going to be an exciting week. And yeah, it's going to be about 15 minutes for me. So definitely will kind of feel like a home game. But, man, I'm with you. I am so excited that it's going to be all purple at AT&T Stadium tomorrow. I mean, could you imagine a better scenario than, sending Texas and Oklahoma off with basically making them sit at home and find out their bid in the guaranteed rate bowl or wherever it is those jokers are going. So yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend, and I'm excited.
And see, that's another reason why I'm fully, especially now that the new television contract came out and Big 12 is going to be making about $50 million. I love it because you don't know who's going to be in the title game. That's what's going to make this new Big 12 so exciting. It might be TCU versus K-State. It might be, Cincinnati versus Baylor. You just never know, which makes the games more exciting and more entertaining. And I think this one coming up tomorrow, 9 o'clock pregame coverage. You can hear that game right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. This one is one that I think is going to draw a monster number with it being on ABC, with it being the only game going on. I think this is going to be a whale of a game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a lesson for all of college football too, that parity is a good thing. And there's an intriguing story here with the Horned Frogs, obviously, being undefeated and, especially after the season they had last year and coaching change and everything else. I mean, it really is, one of the more remarkable stories in college football. But then, you bring in, what I think is, in this K-State team is the best team, next to the Horned Frogs in the conference. I don't even think it's close.
Mm-hmm.
And a chance to knock them off. So, I think the eyes of the nation are going to be on it. I think they would be on it regardless of time frame, to be honest with you. I think it's the most intriguing matchup of championship weekend, and I don't even think it's close. So I'm excited to see what kind of numbers it does. And, just after hearing all the nonsense from some of the talking heads, it'd be nice to prove them wrong, that people are interested in this game and they're interested in these two teams.
This is the dream season for TCU right now. Can you tell me what the fan base is like? Going into Iowa State, if you beat Iowa State, you're undefeated 12-0, one win away from 1,000% locking it up, getting a Big 12 championship. I mean, is everybody just floating right now in Fort Worth?
Yeah, and this is a fan base that has tasted this several times before, right? I mean, you have to keep that in mind. In 09, they're a bad loss away from being in the BCS national championship picture. Wind up getting to go to the Kids Table Bowl with Boise State at the Fiesta Bowl. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yep.
And then in 2010 going undefeated, beating Wisconsin, which was widely regarded as the best team in the country, and finishing second that year in 2010. 2014, obviously, we know what happened there. And so I think that there's still some bitterness among the fan base, especially after 14, what happened. And there's some anxiety there too. It's palpable. You can feel it around campus. You can feel it around the fan base about, there's some PTSD, if you will, about what the beloved committee might do to the Frogs, should they slip up against Kansas State. But, that also adds a lot of intrigue to it, man. I mean, that's what makes it such an exciting game. And it's a fan base that has experienced a lot of success, over the last decade or more. And so they're getting used to that. And it's nice to be back there. But yeah, to be right here with the chance to get into the playoff and control your own destiny, man, it's been a really, really special year.
So let's bring that up. This is almost, the deja vu back in 2014. The team that potentially could leapfrog the Frogs is Ohio State, the team that did in 2014. What does your gut, and I know you talk with a lot of other people, I think no matter what, TCU is in the playoff. I think they have a better record against good teams. They have a better overall resume, even if they lose to Kansas State. And so I think they're in no matter what. But just like you, a little PTSD, national brands, all of that kind of stuff. What does your gut tell you if TCU does fall? Do they get in?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think as long as the game's close, right, then I agree with you. And I think that, you can throw out all the numbers and strength of record, strength of schedule, whatever, right? But I point to one thing that the committee held against the Frogs in 2014 that they couldn't then flip around and use against them now. And that's, TCU didn't have the 13th data point, right? That's why we have a Big 12 championship game today. And so I don't know how you penalize them for playing in a championship game. They would still have a top 10 win over Kansas State, which would be even higher at that point, right? They would move up. And how do you penalize them while Ohio State's been sitting at home on the couch and not getting that 13th data point, not making their league championship game? I don't know that they can do that, right? I mean, that would just show what a farce that the committee is. So I agree with you. I think if it's a close game, I think the Frogs are in. And, but man, in the fight game, you don't want to leave it in the hands of the judges, brother. And that's it's just not something that you want to do. So I'm really hoping the Frogs get out and get a win here.
We're talking with Landry Burdine, part of the TCU radio network, on the sidelines for the game coming up tomorrow, 9 o'clock pregame coverage, 11 o'clock kickoff. You can hear that right here on 580 WWW and FM 104.9. All right. Some news this week. Quentin Johnson and Kendre Miller both said this is the best that they have ever felt right now this season. Is that just, hey, you know what? I'm going to say that to say that. Or have you seen them, especially in the game against Iowa State when you guys hung 60 on the Clones, that, you know what? These two guys are as healthy as they've ever been.
Yeah, they are. So Quentin Johnson could have played last week against Iowa State. I think the coaching staff did a really good job of just saying, hey, if we don't need him, let's not use him. And luckily the Frogs got off to a fast start and they didn't need him.
Mm-hmm.
And also I think the thing that really helped the Frogs was getting out to the big lead was being able to rest Kendre Miller, which they did. So both of those things really paid off for the Frogs and allowed those guys to get healthy. And yes, I've seen them, and they both look really good, and I'm confident they're going to be at a high level.
All righty, let's go to a part of the game that you think will be the biggest side of the ball. Is it TCU's offense? Is it K-State's defense? Is it K-State's offense, TCU defense? Where do you think will be the biggest variance that could determine the outcome?
That's a good question. I was watching some film and doing some studying today, and I think the thing that has impressed me most about Kansas State today versus Kansas State from late October was, they are much, much better defensively in the second half of these football games. So, like TCU had a huge second half against Kansas State. That's really what won them the game. And the Kansas State defense, I think, has given up since that time, like something crazy, like 15 points total in the second half since that game. I think they had 2 shutouts. They gave up a couple of field goals in other games, and I think West Virginia might have hung 6 on them or something. But that's really impressive to me. So, the thing that I'm going to watch is this Kansas State defense, which is down a couple of starting safeties, which I think is going to be big for them. And it really the defensive line. So the defensive front for K-State has been, to me, one of the really strongest parts of this team. So it's really that K-State defense versus the TCU offense. Can the Kansas State defense continue to cause a bunch of turnovers, which they've done, and can TCU continue to protect the ball? I think that's what it's going to come down to.
When Will Howard came in the game against TCU, we've joked that he's looked like Dan Marino. I mean, he was throwing the ball down the field and get a big lead. They probably weren't ready for that. TCU wasn't, because Adrian Martinez doesn't throw it down the field a whole lot. It's more of a running game than Will Howard comes in. Do you think this TCU secondary will be much more prepared for something like Will Howard throwing it down the field like he did against TCU in that first half?
Yeah, there's no question. And I think that's a really good point. Going into that game, that wasn't something that the Frogs were expecting to see, number one. And they made some good adjustments at halftime and really shut that offense down in the second half. But, I think the other thing, the flip side of that is the TCU secondary is playing a lot better, and the defense as a whole is playing a lot better. Travius Hodges-Tomlinson and Josh Newton at corner, really, I'll be honest with you, they're the top 2 corners in the country, in my opinion. And if you look at the awards that they're both up for, I think Hodges-Tomlinson may be the favorite for the Thorpe Award this year. That really proves that out. So, I don't know. Howard, when he came in and started throwing like that, man, we were all kind of scratching our heads, like, what is this? And but he's a really good thrower, and TCU has benefited from some quarterbacks the last few weeks that weren't that accurate and missed some open receivers, and that's something that has me concerned, to be honest with you, because Howard's not that guy. He's pretty accurate.
Well, I can tell you this: TCU fans were going, "What the hell is this?" Guess what? K-State fans were saying the same thing, going, "What is happening right now?" Because the guy 2 years previous in his freshman and sophomore year did not look anything like that, and Will Howard has looked excellent. So you aren't the only one. I think everybody on both sides in that game was going, "Oh my gosh, what is currently happening right now? Our pets' heads are falling off." So let's give me your, is it high scoring or low scoring?
Well, nice Dumb and Dumber reference there, by the way. That's not lost on me. I think it's probably going to be a very similar score to what we saw in the last game. I think both teams would get kind of that mid to upper 20s. I think the team that scores over 30 is going to win this game. And, I think that's where it'll be. There's just too many playmakers on both sides of the ball. I mean, Deuce Vaughn scares me. I mean, I got to know Darren Sproles after he got done at K-State. He was a buddy and a teammate of mine, and with Danny Tomlinson. And it's just flashbacks to me. And Deuce Vaughn's a scary guy. Warren's a great receiver. And the flip side of that is TCU's got the same kind of thing going on their side of the ball. So, I don't think you can stop either one of these offenses, especially with Max Duggan leading the charge. He's going to wind up in New York. Yeah, I think he's got a chance to actually win the Heisman, and I think he's earned it. So as good as these defenses are playing, I think both of these teams are going to get their points.
Alrighty, last two for the road when it comes to some questions for you. All right, it's about Max Duggan. TCU wins. Duggan goes to the Heisman ceremony. Let's say he finishes third. Where does he rank in the pantheon of Horned Frogs? Like he goes down as a legend, right?
Oh yeah, no, he's a legend right now. He's an absolute legend, and really for his entire body of work over his career and the way that he's prioritized the team and the way that he's engaged the fan base and how hard he plays. I mean, he's a legend right now. And, you put him up against, as far as quarterbacks go, you got to talk about Trevon Boykin, Andy Dalton in, the recent time frame, both of which have legend status. But, I got to think that Max Duggan becomes number one over all of them, and he's right up there just a step behind LaDainian Tomlinson. I don't think anybody will ever have the impact on this campus that LT had. I was fortunate to play with him. I'm fortunate to be friends with him and be real close to what he continues to do around here. But Max Duggan is well on his way to that same type of level. So, no, he's a legend, man. And the Frogs win, and he winds up, getting them in the playoff and winning some more. I mean, you're talking about a statue type thing for that guy. So I'll tell you, he's my wife's favorite player. They have a House of Duggan T-shirt or sweatshirt that I'm probably gonna have to wind up getting her for Christmas, or I'm gonna not be allowed to come back to the house. So he's a legend, man. There's no doubt about it.
Alrighty, final question for you. You gave us one LT story last time. Do you have one about a specific game that LT did down in Fort Worth when you were playing?
Oh man, it's funny. The story that I like to tell is one that nobody but probably me would remember. And the reason that I remember it is because I've got a picture of it on my wall. It was immortalized by one of the photographers at the time. But we were playing North Carolina. Mac Brown led North Carolina. They came in and they were number 5 in the country. We were terrible. And it was our 1-10 season in '97. And LT was running down on kickoffs, man. I mean, he was widely regarded as the best player on the team as a freshman. And he's covering kickoffs with me and a bunch of other knuckleheads. And in this picture, we had caused a fumble, and we all have our hands up in the air. You can tell we're celebrating. And you see this guy who winds up being an all-pro and in football and at life, just a Hall of Famer and everything else. He's got the biggest grin on his face because he was covering kick and we got a fumble. And, that says a lot to me for what type of guy he is and what type of leader he was. And so that's just a story I don't know that I've ever told, but it's one that really sticks out to me about that guy, man. He's a first-class human being and was one of the best teammates I ever had.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Darren Sproles and LaDainian Tomlinson going to be on set for game day tomorrow, which should be a lot of fun. Landry, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Enjoy that 15-minute drive to the stadium tomorrow.
Yeah, you got it, man. Anytime. Good to talk to you guys. And, man, I really just hope it's a great football game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Landry Burdine for the TCU Radio Network, former captain of the TCU Horned Frogs when he played there at TCU. I think it's going to be a fun one. I do. I think the TCU gets the benefit here because they're going to be ready for Will Howard. Yeah. I think a lot of that in the first game, they were not prepared for down the field throws because Adrian Martinez was not doing that at the time. He was picking and choosing. And in that game, Will Howard had like 5 completions for like 30 yards or more. TCU is going, what is happening? K-State fans are going, what is happening? Like,
yeah, that wasn't just
wild.
TCU fans shocked. That was everybody shocked watching that happening.
And I can understand that. It's kind of like I'll liken it to this. I don't know if you remember this, but in 2012, Texas was facing K-State at the Bill. Colin Klein was the quarterback. All they did was quarterback draw or quarterback power. Texas was not ready for it. I guarantee you they did not prepare for that many quarterback powers. And K-State beat Texas, if I'm remembering correctly. And they won the game in 2012. It was just quarterback power. And they just bulldozed them. And TCU wasn't ready for Will Howard throwing it down the field. They will be this time. That's why I do think it'll be different. Which I think that's why TCU should be favored by 2.5. They should.
Yeah, they should.
They should. Can K-State win this game? No question. Coming up next, we'll get to our Survivor picks here in week 13. Week 13? 14? What week are we in?
I don't know.
She's played 11 at the bye with 13. Week 13. Sure. That's coming up next. Survivor picks. We are on to week 13. I have used Baltimore, Denver, Philly, Green Bay, Buffalo, Tampa, Dallas, Miami, Minnesota, Kansas City, Cincinnati, San Francisco. Dan has used Baltimore, Green Bay, Philly, Dallas, Minnesota, Tampa, Cincy, Buffalo, Kansas City, New York, Giants, New England, Miami. I am going with the team that took out Fulton. I'm going against him. Fulton hates the Texans because he picked against the Texans not once but twice, and they burned him.
The Texans have 2 games this year in which they did not lose.
Yeah, they won a game
And tied a game. Both those games were when I picked them.
I know.
I feel for the Houston Texans. They can burn into the ground for all I care.
They're playing bad right now. They are not good. So I'm going with the team that is playing them. And it just so happens that the Cleveland Browns get back Deshaun Watson.
You're going with the Deshaun Watson revenge game.
Yes. But I don't think, even if Jacoby Brissett was there, I'm going Cleveland. They've lost. Here are their points that they've scored, the Texans. 10, 17, 16, 10, 15. I'm going with Cleveland, and I think they're going to get the dub.
Fair.
So Cleveland is my pick. Dan, this could be a double-edged sword for Dan.
When it was the double-edged sword for Brendan?
Yeah. Dan is going with his beloved Seattle Seahawks. The good news for Dan is that they're taking on the Rams,
who are just packing it in at this point.
I'm probably going to start Perkins again.
Yep. And they don't have Aaron Donald.
You can't lose to the Rams without Stafford, without Donald, and it's your favorite team.
And no cup.
And your survivor pick.
Yeah. Can't do it.
Dan, hopefully we fight on to week 14. Coming up, we're going to go around the NFL here on Mic'd Up. Hour number 2 of Mic'd Up with Jake and Fulton coming to you on a Red Friday. I am wearing red underneath my quarter zip. It's kind of maybe a red orange, but it looks red.
Looks more orange to me.
Looks more orange.
But I mean, we all perceive colors differently. So what I'm looking at is probably different than what you're looking at. But to me, it looks orange.
It looks like orange? Or like
orange.
Oh, see, to me it looks
looks like a bright orange.
And see, to me this looks red.
It's closer to a red on the spectrum. Like it's closer to it.
Yeah.
But that's still more orange than red to me.
Oh, see,
I can say you could get a red tint out of it, though.
So I think it's red, which is why I wore it for my Red Friday. Now, I am not wearing this tomorrow. One, because that would be weird to wear the same shirt 2 days in a row.
Fair.
But also, I ain't wearing anything remotely close to orange. Haven't connected the dots yet, have you?
I'm trying to.
I'm not going to wear orange tomorrow. Because orange is the color of the Dutch, who we're going to pummel tomorrow.
Oh boy, I don't know how I didn't get there. I'll be honest.
I was wondering what was happening there.
That's not even a bit, because like sometimes I would do a bit here. That's not a bit. I fully did not connect that. Like
I
this is
thought
like,
you were,
I'm trying to be funny and quirky.
Like,
no, I completely whiffed.
Fulton had a stroke right there.
Whatever wires in my brain connect that were just, there is no operator at the wheel. Now I see your point, though. Don't wear Dutch because of the orange, because they wear they wear orange.
That would be like if I wore gold and black Saturday.
No.
Gross.
I don't envision you wearing that any day.
I mean, I like black. I'm wearing kind of black.
I mean, it's black and gray.
Yeah. But black is the color of the Hornets.
Yeah.
And Washburn takes on the Hornets.
That one I put together.
You got back on the wheel.
that one we got a man back at the wheel. We got two hands on it. I put that one together. I have nothing.
Honestly, that was just, I thought you were joking. You were like,
no,
you were like gonna make me say it.
No, I'm dead serious. I did not put that together. I was trying hard.
We got a lot to get to this hour. We're gonna talk all things Bengals coming up.
Another reason not to wear orange.
Yeah, exactly. John,
there we go.
Sheeran coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get to more K-State TCU, some KU football news today.
KU football, even bigger news just dropping. I don't know if it's the same news we're talking about.
Yeah, it's the same news.
Okay.
It's the same news.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Check us out on Twitter, @SportsOn580. You can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@SportsOn580. Just go to YouTube, search Sports on 580. It'll pop up. Our Mic'd Up and 580 Sports Talk logo will be on there. Very simple, very easy. Hit subscribe. You'll get all the info. Brendan yesterday was in Lawrence for KU and Seton Hall. Shout out to the Remember when I disliked the Jayhawks? You remember that?
KU hater LeBron always exists.
He does not exist anymore. In fact, KU hater LeBron, we might have to put him to bed for a little bit, because the Jayhawks were terrific last night. More specifically, the team, but also Grady Dick and Jalen Wilson. Shout out to those two dudes. I've always said Jayhawks, fantastic.
No, you haven't.
Well, I have. Yes, I have, because I said that just now.
You haven't always said it.
Big Jayhawk fan last night. Hawks. Let's go around the NFL. There are 3 games that are very intriguing to me. 3 games very intriguing. 1, Chiefs Bengals, obviously. But the other 2 that have some serious implications, one on the AFC side, the other more of an interesting matchup between 2 teams with good records. But to me, outside of the Chiefs Bengals, that's the number 1 game this week. Number 1 game. A close second, the Dolphins at the Niners. 1, Miami's offense playing well. San Francisco's defense is gnarly. You've got the headline of Mike McDaniel going back to his mentor. He's been coaching under Kyle Shanahan for like 8 years. Now he's the head coach in Miami. So a lot of that right there. But even more so, the Dolphins need a win to stay with the Buffalo Bills. Bills won last night. They cruised. The Patriots offense is terrible.
Garbage.
But the Bills are 9-3. The Dolphins are 8-3. Dolphins win. They're still number 2 seed right now because they own the tiebreaker over the Bills. The 49ers right now lead the West by a game over Seattle. If the 49ers win, they're 8-4. That's big. Like that is a big game involving the Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs because the Dolphins still can win the AFC East. That's huge. So that to me is the number 1 game outside of Chiefs Bengals, which is the number 1 game in all of the NFL. It's Chiefs Bengals. Because of the rematch in the AFC title game, all that kind of stuff. But I think Dolphins 49ers should be a great game. Is this going to be a high scoring game? Can Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle go off against the 49ers? Because I don't know if you know this, Fulton.
I might.
The 49ers have won 4 in a row since playing a team named the Kansas City Chiefs. And in that game, they gave up a 44 burger.
Yeah, they
Since then, they have given up 14 to the Rams, 16 to the Chargers, 10 to the Cardinals, and 0 to the Saints. They have won by double figures 3 of those 4 games. This Niner team is playing well.
More importantly, on that Niners front, they have not allowed a point in the second half in those games.
After getting a 44 burger put on them.
After getting trounced by Kansas City, they are playing so amazingly. There are 2 other games I think don't jump out as games anyone would want to pay attention to or watch. But what's at stake is important. One is Jets and Vikings.
Oh, I'm with you. I think that's a big one.
Jets and Vikings is huge. The Jets still have a shot to win the division.
Correct.
And now they got Mike White leading them, which makes it look like their offense might have a pulse. And the Vikings are just a game out of the number 1 seed. Well, technically 2 because tiebreakers and what have you. They're still technically alive for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Because they're a game behind Philly, and Philly owns the tiebreaker. But like, the Vikings are right there to try and get a 1 seed. That game matters to which team can win that. And then a game I never thought I would care about watching or paying attention to actually has stakes. Commanders-Giants has stakes.
Yes. Yeah, those are the 3. Those are the other. You hit the nail on the head for me. Those
I don't know.
Those games,
I don't know if any of you out there realize this. The Commanders are the 7th seed in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
If they beat the Giants, they jump to the 6th seed. Like, the Commanders are better with Heineke, which, Lord, is that an indictment on Carson Wentz? But like, that game matters. That has playoff implications on it for the Giants and the Commanders. Like, those, everything else is kind of It doesn't really have as much vibe to it, but Jets and Vikings, Commanders, Giants, That noon window, those two games are the two most important games of the early window. Then you have Chiefs and Bengals and Dolphins and Niners in the late window. Seahawks and Rams has a little bit to it just because as long as Seattle doesn't screw up, they could be in position to lead their division. The evening kind of sucks. Can't lie. Colts Cowboys on Sunday Night Football is going to be the biggest piece of garbage ever.
Dallas
is a 10.5 point favorite.
I think the reason that didn't get flexed out, one, it's Dallas.
Yeah, that's why.
And number two, I think Monday Night Football wants to push the Jeff Saturday deal.
Yeah, no. Sunday Night Football wants people to talk about Jeff Saturday. They would do it Jeff Saturday, and it's Dallas. This is a 10.5 point favorite in that game.
Yeah, I probably won't be watching that game.
There's better options you could have flexed to it, but also maybe other channels. I don't know. Channels also then at that point, networks are like, we don't want to lose. It's the reason why the Chiefs and Bengals didn't get flexed this week.
Yeah.
Because CBS was like, no. They're like, we ain't giving this up.
No. I'll watch Yellowstone instead of the Cowboys versus Colts.
I'll probably put it on the background because I don't know. I'll probably just have it on. I will definitely not be like focusing on it. But it'll be on the background.
I'm going to be focused on Beth, Rip, what's going to happen with Casey. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Not a Yellowstone guy?
Never watched a single episode. It's in my wheelhouse. It's something I would like. I've just never watched it.
Man.
Like old school kind of Western-y cowboy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Oh,
there in my wheelhouse.
Boy, you'd love Rip then. Rip, great character. Beth. Wow. Right now, on the Big O Tires text line.
Oh, boy.
If you're on Twitter, if you are watching via YouTube, Beth Dutton is just terrifying. Beth Dutton is a great character, but she, I think we're an episode behind because we DVR it because we couldn't. What were we? Yeah, we were coming back home for Thanksgiving and we didn't. We just went to bed Sunday night. But she the last episode I watched, she's in some trouble, but she is just vicious. Yeah, great character, fantastic character. I love the show. I think the show's great. Let me know if you watch Yellowstone. From the Big O Tires text line, Beth Dutton is a feisty one. Oh boy. You don't ever want to get on Beth's bad side. And Rip is just this, don't mess with him. He, from the Big O Tires text line, she's a pistol. Oh, she might be more than a pistol. She's, It's a great show, though. Fantastic show. Interested in seeing the storylines and everything. It'd be worth it, man. I don't know. I think we're on season 5, and there's only
around to it.
There's only 10 episodes, and it's on TV, so it's not like Game of Thrones was an hour long straight.
Yeah,
it was like mini movies.
Yeah,
this is 40 minutes. Fast forward through the. You'd like it if you like that type of like cowboy, dirt, hand in the dirt, do things kind of the old school way. We handle it our way. You'd love this show.
I'll get around to it eventually.
So yeah, I'll probably watch that.
Yeah. Not a bad call. I think my dad, I don't know if he watches it, but my dad, I think, has a Yellowstone hoodie.
Ask your dad if he watches it.
I'll ask him.
No, real quick. Send your dad a text right now. Wait, does your dad text?
Yeah.
He does? Okay.
Talks to text.
Okay.
It's the truth.
Does your dad still leave voicemails?
Yes.
My dad does too. And it angers me so much.
Actually, my dad has stopped leaving me voicemails because he'll just text me, call me when you get a chance. Which I will say this about voicemails real quick. Leave me voicemails. Because if you call me and don't leave a voicemail and then don't text me, I just won't call you back.
Well, if you see that your dad called,
I will call him back straight up because I'm like,
that's my point with my dad. I'm like, now
I will call you back because it's you, and therefore I mean something important.
Yeah. So my dad has eased up a little bit on the voicemails, but he still sometimes sends them, which is annoying. Like, I saw you have a missed call. I will call you. From the Big O Tires text line, he probably chews tobacco laced with barbed wire and gasoline. Yeah, Rip's a dude. He is.
I've sent my dad a text. We'll see when he responds. He is at work.
Yeah, ask him if he watches Yellowstone.
Yeah, I literally told him also that you were asking.
Yeah.
I was like, Jake wants to know.
And send this text too. Send, what are your thoughts on Beth Dutton? I'm telling you.
I'm pretty sure last time I saw him at home, he was wearing a hoodie that thinks like it said like Yellowstone Ranch or whatever. So I think it was from the show.
Great show.
And let's see. We'll see what he says because I'm also seeing him this weekend. So,
but yeah, I think the Giants.
Yes, back to football for a minute. No, Giants coming and it won't be the worst game in the world to watch. Like, it's not going to be the most. I will warn you. Like, I warn people, it's not even the most entertaining because it's still not two great teams. But the outcome matters, which always, when the outcome really matters, it gives a game just a level of juice that makes it more entertaining. Because it's not like you're watching that game and just going, oh boy, who cares? It's like, no, it's like whoever wins gets a leg up in the playoff race and all that stuff. And Jets-Vikings might actually be entertaining. If you like defense, Jets-Vikings will be fun. Because that is two defenses who will get after it. And it's great to see.
The other games, not so much.
Yeah, the rest of the slates, Bucks Saints on Monday Night Football is kind of, Chargers Raiders is a real big bag of,
Chargers Raiders.
Like, that'll be a close game, probably, but I mean, who cares? You got a team with nothing left to play for, and then the Chargers.
The Chargers, they almost gotta. They can maybe lose. No, you got to beat the Raiders, man.
I have an update before we go to a break here. Yes. My dad has not started it yet. He wants to watch it from the very beginning of the series and watch it to the end. His buddy Justin, though, who I know, who I enjoy, is the one who told him he has to watch it.
Okay.
He just has not gotten to it yet, but he will.
Okay. So, therefore, the second question
can't be answered. He doesn't know.
Can't be answered.
Yeah.
All right.
But he will. He does plan to get around to watch it.
Here we go. Watch it with your dad. Don't watch it like with your dad, obviously, but you watch it like the same day.
Same.
And then you can talk about it. It'll be a great bonding experience. Look at that. Yellowstone, bringing father and son together. I'm serious. Like,
yeah, we have a bunch of stuff we already do that with.
Like what? Like Chiefs?
No, Chiefs, because like if I might be going back into town this Sunday. I'm staying specifically this week to watch football together. But like it's mainly sporting things. But like my dad got me into pro wrestling. That's what we watched growing up together. Nice. Like literally, that's why I got into it. Like when I was a kid growing up, that was our thing. Like we would record it and not watch it till we both had time. And we sat and watched it together.
Well, you don't have to watch it together. Just
I know.
Watch it.
Yeah,
you watch it here.
Oh, yeah, I'll see when he starts getting it rolling.
Yeah.
I'll probably wait to get it rolling for when he does.
Fantastic.
Then we have similar commentaries.
Fantastic.
Get his take on it.
Coming up next, we got Everyone Loves the List, and then we'll talk Bengals Chiefs with John Sheeran. It is National Bartenders Day today. Have you ever been a bartender?
Yes, I was a bar manager at one time.
Bar manager?
Yep, back in 2018.
What bar?
It was a brewery in Wichita called Augustino Brewing. It no longer exists.
Oh, that's a bummer. Good beer?
And not really. Good beer, yeah. And we made good cocktails. We made we went for more of the custom, higher, fancier cocktails, like multiple ingredients, different techniques, stuff like that.
I have been a bartender.
Yep.
I only did the bartending for about a year, and then I realized it's a lot of work. I'm gonna go back to it.
It's a lot of work. Those are very long days, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I like it. I still got some of my skills.
I went back to serving. I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna do that.
I went from serving to bartending to bar managing.
Yeah, I went from serving to bartending, going, damn, that's way too much work. I'm going back to serving. Alrighty. So with that, qualities you want in a bartender.
Traits you want them to have.
Yep. Alrighty. What do you got? Number 4.
Number 4 for me is pretty simple. I like to be a little friendly. I don't need you to chat me up the whole time, but I like you get a little bit of a warm, friendly energy while we're there.
My number 4 is very simple. I want you to be nice.
Yeah, see? Just be nice.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah, be nice.
Number 3 for me, I don't need this to be an in-depth knowledge. I need you to know your liquors. I need you to kind of know what everything's about. So, that way you're not just kind of blindly throwing stuff and it gets a little random. I need you to have a basic working knowledge of what you're doing over there.
My number 3 is you have to have the ability to make a good drink. Case in point, if I ask for an old fashioned, it shouldn't be put together like trash. If I ask for a 7 and 7, or if you want a rum and Coke,
yeah,
I don't expect it to taste like Coke. I don't expect it to taste like straight Captain Morgan.
I feel you.
You know what I mean?
I feel you.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me, I need you to have a little bit of a quickness to it. I don't need you speedy, but I need you to be efficient. I can't have you taking forever.
I need number 2 for me, speed.
Gotta have a little bit of a quickness to it.
Yeah,
Gotta be on the hippity hop.
You better not take 8 minutes to pour 2 beers out of a draft.
No. You got a lot of work to do.
I am with you on that. No question about it. Speed is important.
Number 1 for me is very simple. I need you to have what I call a steady hand, mainly being I don't need you hard pours. I don't need this to be like way too much liquor or too little. I need you to have the good ratios of what you're putting in my drink. Steady hand.
Now, college Jake would say differently on that topic. My number 1, this is so important. Know when to chat and know when you gotta be you can't
Fair
be
enough.
there. Like, I don't need you interfering if I'm having a big conversation. Know and pick your spots when to talk to me and when not to. Coming up next, we're going to talk with John Sheeran on all things Bengals. The 2:00 hour here on Mic'd Up, we will get to K-State TCU. You can hear that game tomorrow right here on your home for K-State Athletics, 580 WIBW and FM 104.9, K-State TCU. We'll get to our Friday staple of On Second Thought, where we get a do-over on something that we said earlier this week. But coming up on Sunday, in the afternoon, 2:00 pregame coverage, 3:25-ish kickoff from Cincinnati. You can listen to the Chiefs radio network. Chiefs versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Can the Chiefs exercise the demons and find a way to get a win over the team that beat them twice last year? And to talk all things Bengals right now, we welcome John Sheeran, covers the Bengals for the Cincy Jungle, the SB Nation site, as well as the Bengals Black podcast. John, how excited and how amped are people in Cincinnati for version 3 of these two teams facing off here within the last year and a half?
Yeah, there's a lot of memories from back in January, I guess, for both meetings, but especially for that game when the Chiefs came to town. Bengals won the AFC North in that game. So a lot of hyped up emotions from that. It's kind of bleeding over to this one. You know, it's that 4:25 Eastern primetime slot. Most of the country will be watching these two teams, and I think there's that feeling that these two teams are this is the marquee matchup in this conference right now, based off of just how much these games meant last year and just how these two teams are really kind of elevated themselves over the rest of the competition.
All right, let's go with the injury sides of things. Jamar Chase, what's his status right now?
So Jamar Chase has been limited in practice over the past couple of weeks. There was some hope that he could have played last week against the Tennessee Titans, but he wasn't feeling completely 100% quite comfortable and ready, so they held him out. He was practicing again this week. Zach Taylor didn't want to make any complete declarations as of yet, but he's optimistic that he's going to return. This has been the plan really since they started to hold him out at the end of October with that hairline fracture in his hip. So odds are he is going to play. There haven't been any setbacks. They didn't want to make a 100%, declaration or anything like that, but he is on track to play for Sunday.
Is this one of the things where if he does come back, it's not like a rolled ankle where, gosh, you don't know, like Mike Williams, for instance, when the Chiefs played Mike Williams tried to give it a go, had one play, rolled his ankle, and he was done. Is this one where, hey, you know what? If Jamar Chase plays, he should be effective, and it shouldn't, make his play, more of a bystander and not and a decoy. Like it's legit. He'll be a threat in this one.
Yeah, I think that was the plan with him not being rushed back. Like if they were to play him last week, I think they would have been a lot more concerned and a lot more looking at him from a microscope. Like if there's anything wrong, we're going to pull him out immediately just so he doesn't address anything that may not be fully healed. If they're going to play him after resting him for about a month now, I think there would be 100% confidence that they're not going to hold him out. They're not going to limit what he does on the field. If he's out there on the field, I would expect for them to use him like he is 100% healthy. And I think that is why they feel confident in the way that they handled this. They didn't want to rush him back at all. They wanted to give him as much time as possible, but there's also like the urgency and the importance of coming back for this game. Obviously, scoring 30 points or more in this game is going to be critical. Easier to do that when you have your best receiver out there.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's out there, I would expect him to be, on his complete full workload.
Joe Mixon, he's dealing with a concussion. Do you think he'll play?
Yeah, that's more of a 50-50 thing. Normally you don't see guys missing multiple games with a concussion. He's still technically in the protocol, but they're going to probably monitor that from today and into tomorrow. He was also limited in practice this week along with Jamar Chase, so that's obviously a good sign for him to play. But I would think he's more of a 50-50, whereas Jamar Chase is a lot more optimistic in that sense.
Is it that big if Mixon plays, or P. Ryan can handle the duties?
Yeah, I think it's like P. Ryan has shown a lot in these past couple of weeks. Really, this entire season, I think, has been probably his best season to date. Like, he had that crucial touchdown against the Chiefs back in the AFC Championship game, and they've kind of expanded his role now that Mixon has been hurt a few times this season. But, P. Ryan has done a lot in terms of running the ball, and he's obviously critical in pass protection. So there was already that role for him, even when Mixon was healthy and playing his normal snaps. I think they have confidence that he can just basically do whatever they need to do in terms of their running game. Now, Mixon brings more of a boost athletically. He maybe is more capable of producing explosive plays out there. But if he runs out there, I don't think they're going to hold back what they want to do on offense, though.
We're talking with John Sheeran, covers the Bengals for the Cincy Jungle, as well as the Orange and Black Insider podcast. And they started 0-2, John. It was not looking good. They're 7-2 since then. What is the reason for winning 7 of their last 9? What's been the change, or who's played well? How have they turned it around after an 0-2 start?
So they rebuilt this offensive line in the offseason. It obviously wasn't good enough to win the Super Bowl. And the problem was it took a while for them to all kind of learn how to play together. They had some injuries up front, too. Like La'el Collins has been battling an ankle injury for most of the season. Alex Kappa didn't practice with the team for the latter half of the offseason. You had a battle at left guard and a rookie in Cordell Volson winning that. So he wasn't really practicing with the starters up until right before the season. So you enter the year with 4 guys that have never really played with each other. And it took a while for all of them to kind of, develop chemistry and work together as a unit. And there was also some individual, issues going on with the tackles as well. The offensive line has really improved over the past 2 months now, and has really helped the offense settle down and establish some sort of consistency, because last year they really relied on explosive plays to basically generate all of their offensive production. And now you're seeing them move the ball more methodically, have more success on first and second down, a lot like the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs, they are a first and second down team. They rarely have to rely on converting third downs to really, produce most of their offensive production. And the Bengals are approaching that area of efficiency, especially over the past couple of months. It's been really impressive to see them maintain that efficiency even without Jamar Chase on the field. So Burrow has improved his play too. Like, he was dealing with recovering from an appendectomy in August and July, so he didn't quite look himself in the first couple of weeks, and combine that with bad offensive line, it was not a good combination. So 7-2 over the last 9, primarily because Joe Burrow is playing like one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. The offensive line, at the very least, is average, slightly above average. The defense has also been good enough in a lot of crucial areas. And yeah, they've just been a more consistently efficient offense.
The one question that at least we have here in Chiefs, the Chiefs Kingdom, is the Bengals have not seen great offenses during this 7-2 stretch. The Titans don't have anybody to catch the football. The Steelers are bad. The Panthers stink. Falcons aren't any good. Saints offense is bad. The Ravens, their offense is, well, how good is Lamar Jackson? The Dolphins win. That was, of course, that was the talk of the town when Tua went down. So is there some concern saying this Bengal defense has not seen a top 10 offense here in the last 6 or 7 weeks?
Yeah, I think that was a talking point during October when they were kind of starting the stretch. The thing with the Dolphins game, and obviously, Tua suffered that bad concussion before that game, so he probably wasn't 100% entering that game. And then he obviously went down. And Teddy Bridgewater ended up, I think, playing like the better quarterback in that game. So the Bengals still beat like a good Dolphins offense in that performance, even with the Dolphins' backup quarterback. But that is, I think, a worthy talking point to have. I think a lot of this involves how the Bengals managed to shut down Patrick Mahomes twice in the second half last year, and with the adjustments that they made. And we've seen that style of defense, give a lot of offenses trouble this year. But yeah, strength of schedule, strength of competition, that's always going to be a factor. My personal concern with the Bengals defense right now, Trey Hendrickson is still a really good edge rusher. I think Sam Hubbard is having arguably his best season, and it's still not been really enough to elevate themselves into one of the better pass rushing teams in the NFL. They're not really getting a lot of push inside from their defensive line, and they're not getting a lot of crucial pressures and sacks on key downs. It's all really been reliant on their back seven. And their back seven has been playing great, not to get me wrong, but they're not playing with their best cornerback in Chidobe Awuzie, who suffered a torn ACL about a month ago against the Cleveland Browns. So they're down one of the better secondary members, and they've been relying a ton on their back seven getting off the field because they haven't really been able to generate a consistent pass rush outside of a couple of guys. So if there is an area of concern, it's definitely that, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Chiefs can manage to do things differently than they did last time.
When it comes to the Bengals team, it seems like the Chiefs are taking this game personally. Do the Bengals feel that in the opposite direction? Like, do they look at this like, man, we have a chance to go up, win 3 in a row against the Kansas City Chiefs? I know that a lot of the Chiefs players have said, yeah, we circled this game, or we're locked in, and there's even been some trash talk going back and forth. I am surprised that Justin Reed doesn't know the number of the player he's going up against nor the name. Well, that's a whole nother talking point, but is it seem a little bit more personal this time?
I think there's an argument for that. I think when it comes to the Bengals, a lot of talk has been made about who they have to face leading up to the playoffs. Like the Titans were just the first of many teams with winning records that they have to beat and face before they get to the postseason. And the Chiefs are obviously the best team that they have remaining on their schedule. So they're just a part of that group of teams that talking heads and analysts and everything. But like, yeah, the Bengals have a gauntlet in front of them. And I think they've kind of owned that and said, no, like we don't have to face them. They have to face us. And I feel like that's been their mantra that's really started gaining steam after that Titans game. So yeah, I think with the Chiefs, it's about getting revenge based off of those past 2 games. But with the Bengals, it's about establishing some respect for their own. Like, no, we don't have to play these teams. They have to play us. We're still, the AFC champions, and there has to be some type of respect level that, should be earned there. So I think it's interesting how these 2 teams have these different types of mindsets kind of clashing now, because they're both kind of looking for respect in this regard.
All righty. Do you think this is a high scoring game? And do you think, and pick me a winner?
Yeah, I don't see the Bengals holding Patrick Mahomes' touchdown list in the second half this time necessarily. I think the Chiefs have done a lot of great things to adjust their offense, especially without Tyreek Hill. And yeah, I think they've prepared a lot based off of what the Bengals did. So I would expect the Chiefs to score north of 30, just like they did the last time they came to Cincinnati. But it's hard for me to count out this team against the Chiefs, because they've proven that they can score in critical moments, and Burrow has proven that he's one of the better quarterbacks, and he can score basically against any defense. So I would say this game ends up in the 30s, but I'm gonna give the Chiefs the 3-point advantage here. I think it's been impossible to beat Mahomes 3 consecutive times. So I'm gonna say Chiefs 34, Bengals 31.
All righty. And my last two for the road here. Last 2 questions. You can just give me short, sweet answers if you want. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You pay 2 of them. Who's left out?
T. Higgins is probably left out in that sense. Because they have to pay Higgins first. They'll have to have that conversation first. That'll be the interesting thing to watch this offseason. Burrow's getting the bag, obviously, and I think Chase is the better receiver. So if I have to leave out one, it's probably Higgins. Should
they trade him this offseason? He's got 1 year left on his deal. You're not going to franchise tag him. Or do you just wait and get the 3rd round compensatory pick? Because he's going to sign a big time deal. Because I think T. Higgins is a very good. He's the number 1 wide receiver. If he played on the Chiefs, he's their number 1. Do you think instead of just letting him walk, or maybe they do re-sign him? I just think it'd be hard to re-sign 3 guys to that Like 2 wide receivers can't make $25 million a year. I just don't see that happening. So I'm interested in, do they trade T. Higgins and say, hey, you know what, someone else can get him for a year and then we'll, take a second round pick for him or something like that? Do you think they would end up trading him, or are they all in next year again?
Yeah, that's just not really the Bengals' MO. They don't trade stars even if they don't plan on re-signing them. I think they do plan on re-signing T. Higgins. I think the plan right now is to bring back all three, and I know that would spark some skepticism about the reasonability of doing that. But I do think that in their mind they believe that's achievable. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen. But they're just not the team that trades young stars, even if there isn't a likelihood that they're in the long-term plans. Like we've seen that with Jesse Bates over the past couple of years. It would have made a lot of sense to trade him, even if the negotiations with him have kind of fallen down the tube, but that didn't happen. So I feel like Higgins is going to play out his contract here. He may or may not get the tag. I would probably lean against that happening if he doesn't get extended, but I think they're going to try really hard to get him under contract. But yeah, I see him finishing out his contract here, whether or not he signs an extension.
John, thank you so much for the time. Enjoy the game coming up on Sunday.
Thanks, Jake.
John Sheeran does a fantastic job covering the Bengals for the Orange and Black podcast, as well as the Cincy Jungle. Good stuff from John. And this is what's so great about how you build your team. I am fascinated what the Bengals are going to do, because the Chiefs said, we are not going to pay a top flight wide receiver. We're not going to do it. We think $28 million a year for Tyreek Hill is too much. We've got the guy. We got Patrick Mahomes. We think he can make Justin Watson and Kadarius Toney and Juju and MVS and Sky Moore and Travis Kelce. The X factor is Travis Kelce, folks. I always go back to that. Having Travis Kelce play at $15 million a year is it's the best bargain in the entire NFL. But if you paid Joe Burrow the bag, he's going to make $50 million a year. $50 million a year. That's what he's going to get. You pay Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is going to want $28 million a year. T. Higgins. I would advise T. Higgins not to sign a contract. Don't sign a contract extension. You're going to get more in free agency. They're not going to tag him. The franchise tag for a wide receiver for 1 year is going to be $25 million. It's the top three averaged out, and that's the cap hit.
Yeah.
I just don't see them tagging him. And if you're T. Higgins, you get to the free agent market. Christian Kirk got $80 million. Christian Kirk. He ain't even Captain Kirk. He's Christian Kirk. Captain Kirk gets the bag.
Got the bag twice.
Like, I don't sign the deal. That's why Juju, don't sign a deal. Don't. Wait. T. Higgins has another monster year next year, or just has another 1,000-yard season as the number 2. He'll get north of 20-some million over 4 years. I don't know how you can have $200 million potentially. Never mind, that's way too high. 50, 20, and $100 million almost in the cap between 3 guys all on the same team. If your quarterback is the guy, like I understand paying one of them. I do. I don't think you can pay both of them. I just don't think you can.
It's difficult. It really is. It's hard to find that way because you have to try and navigate so much. And with the receiver market kind of exploding a little bit. Now, the Bengals could be benefited if somehow the cap jumps up in a way that is friendly enough to them that becomes more manageable. But even then, you're tying up so much money in 3 players. And one of them being Joe Burrow, yeah, you pay your franchise quarterback the bags that they are worth. And I think at that point, you give Jamar his big contract because he's the better of the 2. You tell T, we're going to pay you as the number 2 because that's what you're on this team. And more importantly, that's what works here. But T. Higgins basically has to decide, does he want to go be the star on another team that maybe will be as good and risk all the attention coming to him and seeing what that would be like? Or does he take essentially a pay cut to be the Robin to Jamar's Batman, but be in a very good situation? Like that's what T. Higgins said for himself. Does he just want the straight up bag?
And here's here's because isn't it? It's the top 3.
It's the top 3. I can't remember.
Average,
I think
right?
it's from the year prior.
Okay, well,
or something like that. But it's the top 3 averaged out, and the average of that is the cap hit.
That's $28 million.
Yeah,
because the average year for Tyreek Hill's $30 million, Devontae Adams $28 million, DeAndre Hopkins $27 million. You average that out, it's $28 million for 1 year. You can't do that.
You can't franchise tag.
You
have to figure it out.
Yeah. And if you are T. Higgins, you can get so much more on the free market. You could. We've seen it, no question. Coming up, TCU, K-State, plus some news on KU. We'll get to that. All coming up in the 2:00 hour to wrap up this week of Mic'd Up here on the sports voice of Kansas 580 WIBW. Hour of Mic'd Up on this Red Friday edition. Jacob on Fulton Caster with you. We appreciate you joining us as we lead into 580 Sports Talk and then some hoops tonight. The Seaman Vikings taking on the Lansing Lions. Should be a good girls game. Top 10 matchup. Lions, I think, ranked third in 5A. I think the Vikings are ranked ninth. Should be a good one. Should be a good one.
It'll be a dandy for sure.
Yeah, on the women's side of things, of course, the Vikings won the state title last year.
Yeah, going to get essentially celebrate a banner being raised up. The improbable run that was. See what Craig Cox's boys can do as you defend their championship. The reigning, defending, undisputed champions of 5A boys basketball.
Yeah. This weekend should be a lot of fun. It really, really should.
Has potential to be.
Yes. We've talked a lot of Bengals, talked a lot of Chiefs. We're going to get to K-State TCU. And listen to that game tomorrow. 9 o'clock pregame, 11 o'clock kickoff. ESPN Game Day going to be there on ABC. I'm interested to see what number this gets. Like, does this get because last year I think Oklahoma State Baylor got like 8 million viewers.
I think it did.
What does K-State TCU get? What does it get here? And this is legitimate playoff implication.
It does.
Last year, not so much. This is the biggest. It's not the biggest game to me for Kansas State. Like, if they win, it's more important than, just like the game itself, because they're going to the Sugar Bowl no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes you say, okay, kind of, I don't want to say house money. That's the wrong term, but the pressure is off on them. Because if they win, hey, it's a Big 12 title. That's great. That's fantastic. Like, TCU's got more pressure.
Yeah, I agree.
They really, really do. Now, if TCU more than likely still gets in with a loss, but they've been screwed over before.
They have.
And so this game, if K-State wins, to me, is the second biggest, or you could argue the biggest win in program history.
Yeah. The
2003 title game, when they beat Oklahoma, Darren Sproles in his short little strides, took down Oklahoma. And the reason I say this is probably the second biggest win, because that Oklahoma team still played for the championship, got destroyed. That team was like, everybody thought they were one of the greatest of all time. And then K-State just waxed them. So I think that one still would be the biggest. But this would be the biggest win since 2003. And I think this is, if K-State wins this game, I think they're going to finish 7th in the college football playoff rankings.
They'll be close to it.
Because, hear me out, Clemson and North Carolina. If Clemson wins, they have 2 losses, but their win is against North Carolina. Not great. And Clemson's record this year, what is Clemson's best win?
Good question.
Because then they lost to Notre Dame.
No.
Didn't they? If I remember
sure.
correctly. Here, hold on a second. Okay. Their losses were to Notre Dame and to South Carolina. They beat Miami. They stink. Louisville. Syracuse?
Yeah.
Florida State. Wake Forest. I mean, they wouldn't have, K-State has the better win because they beat TCU. I think they could leapfrog Clemson. I also don't know if Clemson's going to win.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they will leapfrog Penn State. Penn State is ahead of them. Penn State's best win is Purdue. Will they put a 3-loss team who beat TCU over a 2-loss Penn State team whose best win is Purdue? I think they would. I think they're going to put them over Tennessee. And honestly, if you want to talk about where they should be ranked, Tennessee without Hendon Hooker is not the 7th best team in the country. They're not.
Yeah.
I think they'll leapfrog Clemson. I think they'll leapfrog Penn State. And then I think they could leapfrog Tennessee. And they could finish 7th at 10-3. They will not leapfrog Bama or Ohio State, obviously. But 7th, they could finish 7th in the final rankings of the college football playoff, the ones that truly just matter. Doesn't matter what happened last week. Doesn't. I don't know if we've had this discussion with you and I, Fulton, but I know why they're doing it. I do. Because they want ratings and they want to drum up interest, which is important. I understand that. But there's no reason to have the college football rankings except for the final one.
No, you're right.
That makes no sense. If the whole point is, because what do they tell us? We start over every week. Well, if you start over every week, then the previous week shouldn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But we know it matters.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Like we know right now, Alabama cannot leapfrog Ohio State because they're behind Ohio State. And neither one of them are going to play each other. Neither one are playing this weekend. So there's no way Alabama should leapfrog Ohio State. We know that.
Yep.
But yet they start new every week. They should. The final ranking should be the only rankings that they produce. If it's all about football, and that way there's no perceived notion. Now, the only argument that I will give for doing it a weekly rating is they do set precedent. And I can understand that. They set precedent. But if you tell me right now, next on Sunday, because the games are announced on Sunday, the college football playoff is announced on Sunday, is if there's no previous rankings, nobody knows if TCU has to win to stay in. You know, we don't know where everybody is. We don't know. To me, it makes the drama even more exciting. That's my soapbox. They shouldn't put out, if it's new every single week, and the previous week shouldn't matter. You just go by what has been done. You shouldn't have any rankings. But that's not what the college football world is about.
No.
That's not how they do it. So I think they can finish 7th. That's how big this game is if they win. If they lose, it's okay. They're 9-4. They're going to go and probably play a CJ Stroud-less Alabama team. That would be hard because he didn't play for Alabama. I think they're going to play a Bryce Young-less Alabama team. I don't think he'll play in the bowl game. Now, maybe he will because he's a quarterback, but there's talk that he might be the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
If you're the number 1 pick, why would you risk getting hurt? Like, I get that. Now, I also understand on the side of, hey, play for your team. You played with your team for the entire year, and now you're not in the college football playoff. You're just going to quit on your team. There's some relevance to that. There is. I would probably be a little upset if my teammate was like, yeah, screw you. I ain't risking myself. But you risked yourself the entire year except for the last game. I don't know. I can see both sides. I think TCU is the better team. I know TCU has played a lot of close games, but I think TCU is the better team. I do. I can see why they're favored by 2.5. I completely understand that. But I think K-State playing with Will Howard is a completely different team. And it's almost unfortunate that Will Howard played against TCU, honestly, because TCU is not going to be surprised when he's chucking it down the field or going down the field. They're not going to be surprised that Ben Sinnott is a weapon on offense. They're not going to be surprised at that, where they saw that because Sinnott had a pretty good game against TCU. If Will Howard didn't play against TCU and it was just Adrian Martinez and they lost, I think I'd pick K-State. I think I would. Because this is a completely different team with Will Howard. That really, really is. I'm going to take K-State or TCU to win. If I were betting, I would bet K-State, even though the spread screams bet TCU.
Yeah.
Because of field goal. Most games are not decided by 2 and 1 points. A lot of games are decided by 3 or more, like the Baylor TCU game, that would be one where the missed extra point was a huge factor in that one. Baylor ended up winning by 1, but that 2.5 where a field goal wins it. Or if they go to overtime, that type of thing. I think I'd bet K-State to cover, but I think this will be a competitive game, and I think both teams are going to get near 30. I don't know if K-State, and I do agree with Paul Meyerberg. This all hinges on the TCU run game. If they can run it, TCU then can open it up and throw it to Jackson. They can open it up with Duggan to run it, on the quarterback keepers and stuff. This is all about the TCU run offense. And I think K-State was going to score on TCU. I do. So I got TCU winning, but I think it's a close game. I really do.
It's a close game for sure. I think if this game becomes a blowout on either side, that's a very surprising result. It'll be close for 60 minutes. And yeah, for TCU, if they want to win this game and really open up their offense, it's all on Kendre Miller. When they can run the football, it changes everything for TCU. It allows them to get more one-on-one opportunities on the outside. It allows Max Duggan to get more creative with going down the field. And you can also add Max Duggan in the quarterback run game. TCU is the better team because I think they have better overall talent than K-State does.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, even with injuries, that K-State defense is still something else and still has been playing at an incredibly high level as of late. I don't really have – I've been going back and forth on which side I'd be on in this one, whether TCU or K-State. But I think with the amount of things TCU has to play for and what they know is left – they don't want to leave their fate up to the arbitrary committee of the playoff committee. Though if they left TCU out at this point, it'd be wrong. It'd be the improper choice unless they're blown up by 40.
Correct. If they lose by 20, they're not.
Yeah, if they're blown out and get whipped up and down the field in Arlington, no, leave TCU out. Yeah. That you can't have that. But if they lose a close one, you should still put them in because they have 12 wins. All the other teams you put in above them don't have 12 wins. You have to reward regular season success. But I still just feel like TCU's just got enough firepower offensively more than K-State does. Because if this game becomes a true shootout and K-State's got to sling it everywhere, I know Will Howard's been playing well. And the receivers and Brooks and Knowles and Warner and even Sinnott have really been stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
I just think in a shootout, you go TCU. If this becomes a slugfest, give me the Cats, even though I know TCU won a slugfest with Texas. I know they did. But if this is a slugfest, I'd go K-State, but I think this might be just a little bit more of some offensive of a showcase. And I mean, I barely go TCU in this one. I think they win within that 1 to 3 point margin.
It should be a fun game. I love that.
It's a lot of fun.
I like that it's 11 o'clock. So I'll get to watch the majority of it before Washburn tips off at 1. I'll be probably in the fourth quarter around 1 o'clock. Third quarter, maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Depends.
So it should be, I think, a fun matchup. I do. Let's get some KU news. KU. What do you want to talk about first? There's 2 bits of news.
There are.
What do you want to talk about first?
You know what? Let's talk about the more positive one for the future.
KU is going to be playing in Hawaii.
They're going to the Big Island.
No.
Yes.
No, they don't.
It's more fun to say it that way.
Well, the Big Island is the actual.
It's more fun to say it that way, though.
Well, no, but like the Big Island is not where the game's going to be played. The Big Island, where Hawaii plays is on Oahu.
I know.
Not like the Big Island, Hawaii.
I know.
Okay. Well, you can't say that because the Big Island is a specific island.
I understand, but
Hawaii.
It's more fun to say they're going to the Big Island. I understand the nuance and the specifics.
But no one calls it the Big Island.
Well, I do.
Okay. What's funny is I ran into Brendan and he goes, hey, by the way, August 27th?
I think.
August 27th, 2028, I'm going to be gone. And I said,
same.
What?
Yeah, also, by the way, same.
So KU is going to play Hawaii week 0.
That's going to be awesome.
And so they will take on...
It's a home-and-home series, so KU, the first go-around, will go out to Hawaii to play the Warriors, and then a couple years later, they will come into Lawrence, which, oh boy, will that be a trip for those boys. Go from the beautiful beachy shores of Hawaii to middle of Kansas.
Well,
not middle, but northeast,
made
but
trips like that before.
Oh, they have. They won't be completely surprised. They play road games.
Yeah.
They don't play every game in Hawaii, but...
No, yeah. The KU going to play Hawaii in
fair warning for you,
2028.
For you KU fans who look forward to that game in 2028 that aren't going to be able to go out to Hawaii to go see it in person, be prepared to watch that game and it'll be up at like midnight and 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Because that game will kick off local time at like 10:30 p.m. our time.
Yeah. Because it's
like 4 hours behind.
No, more than that. Because
where's it 5?
I don't know.
Because I think it's only 4, but it could be 5. Because like from us here to England is 6.
Current time in Honolulu is 10:20. So 5.
4.
Yeah, 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. So like even if they kick that game off at 7 o'clock Hawaii time. That's 11 o'clock here.
Yeah.
They're going to kick it at like 6 Hawaii time.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're playing Hawaii.
That's going to be awesome.
The other news is from Brett McMurphy, who we've had on the show before, from the Action Network. He says that Missouri does not want to play KU
Cowards.
in a bowl game.
Absolute cowardly behavior.
He says that.
Ducking them.
Okay.
Ducking the champs.
Now, Missouri's football Twitter handle says, because Brett McMurphy tweeted out, Missouri says no thanks to border war versus Kansas, sources told Action Network, and says that, they didn't want to play KU. The Mizzou football handle says this. Not true. ... Looking forward to our bowl game versus any team.
Good spin there, losers.
Now, normally I would tell people, don't respond to this report. Just let it be, okay? Because then it's not confirmed nor denied. You are denying this now.
Yeah.
Cowards. However, Missouri can just simply say, when the bowl games and the dates and the schedules and where they go, because KU's down to probably 3 games. Liberty Bowl, which I don't think they're going to play in, the guaranteed rate, or the first responder. I think it's one of those 3. Okay. And I think the Liberty Bowl is too high up. But Oklahoma and KU have the same record.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you might end up looking at, hey, they could take either one of them.
Yeah, and for the Liberty Bowl, it comes down to, do you want to take Oklahoma, a team you never really get the opportunity to, but will Oklahoma fans show up?
Well, see, let me rephrase that. Sorry. There are 3 teams that are 6-6. Okay.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma, Baylor, and KU.
If you want to go letter of the law, KU should finish last because
they lost to both Oklahoma and Baylor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State should get a pecking higher because they went 7-5. KU went 6-6. Texas Tech went 7-5. They should have a higher pecking order. So the last 3 bowl games are the Liberty Bowl, the guaranteed rate, and the first responder. Because TCU will go to the playoff.
Yep.
K-State will go to the Sugar Bowl. Texas will go to the Alamo Bowl. Oklahoma State will probably go to the Cheez-It Bowl. And then Oklahoma State to the Texas Bowl. And then you got the 3 other bowls.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I don't know, but you know what? The Liberty Bowl might say this. KU hasn't been to a bowl game yet in
those
500 years. Exactly.
Up.
And they will drive to Memphis. So I wonder if that's going to be the situation. So I think there are 3
take
bowls.
That under advisement.
Here is what Missouri can say. That's not true. They don't play each other. And Missouri can just say this. They didn't pick us.
Cowards.
And no bowl committee is going to come out on the record and say, yeah, Missouri told us they weren't going to play in our game if we pick Kansas. Like, they're not going to do that because they're not going to want to sever or burn a bridge with the football team. Because there's one reason only that bowl executives exist: to make money. That's it.
Yeah, it's true.
And so I think it's smart by Missouri to deny it. You know, you got to do what Shaggy said, say it wasn't you.
Good old Shaggy defense. Wasn't me.
And that's what they're doing here. If this is true,
Which it is.
Brett McMurphy's reporting it. Brett McMurphy's very plugged in.
I will just add this too. Brett even says it comes from industry sources who have, no reason to do Mizzou PR. Well, it's just they have no reason to do Mizzou PR any favors. So there's no PR favoring to either team here. Like, there's no reason they wouldn't say this and be like, man, we might be making Mizzou look bad. They're just we don't care. We're just telling you what we know.
I can't stand this from Missouri if this is true. Because how many times have we heard Missouri say, we still want to play you. We still want to play. Like, I understand why KU left, or KU didn't want to play Missouri. I get that. They left. They chose money over tradition and playing each other.
Yes.
It's like getting divorced and, hey, your girlfriend cheated on you. Let's go this route. Your girlfriend cheated on you and wanted to go to a guy who's got more money, right? Why would you want to get back with her? That's KU's perspective. And I understand that. Missouri has said, we'll play you. We'll play you. Hey, we'll play you. This will be great. We'll play you. And yet here they are saying, no, we're not.
Yeah, I get that the series is coming back in a few years, that the football series will be back. The basketball series is already back. The basketball teams are playing each other next Saturday. And there's a perspective to this that I could see from even a fan's perspective of not wanting this, because you want bowl games to be fun. You don't want to care if you win or lose, where it matters. If KU Missouri played in a bowl game, fans would care even more if their team won or lost. Because it's not about losing the bowl game at that point, it's about losing to that other team.
That makes the bowl game mean more.
It does. No, I will keep saying it. I would have preferred that. I love it when KU and Missouri play each other because I hate Missouri and like watching them lose. And it's extra beautiful when it's my team that gets to do it.
I would be irate if I knew KU and Missouri weren't going to be playing here in 2024, I think is when they play.
Yeah, it's 24, 25. It's coming around the bend.
Got to look up one of my favorite websites, footballschedules.com.
Yeah, because it has your schedules out to like 10 years in advance. Or they're supposed to on the schedule that long in advance.
Yep. Hold on. We're going to pull it up here because I want to know now. Okay. Okay. What is going on here? Kansas. Okay. Future schedules. Let's go 24 because I know they're not playing next year. They play Lindenwood, Illinois, and UNLV in 24. 23.
I forgot the Illinois series starts next year.
Yeah, they play Missouri State, Illinois, Nevada. So they're not playing until 2025. Yes, is in Columbia. So you still got 23 and 24.
Yeah,
so you got 2 years. If they weren't playing this series in 2 years, I'm upset because me. I want the game to happen.
Yes,
I do. Because it's for the players. The players, they miss out on this. I don't care about the fans. The players love playing this game. Therefore, you need to play it. That's how legends are made in rival games.
Missouri, you're a pack of cowards.
So I want the game to be played.
Missouri just knows they'd lose to Lance Leipold.
Yeah.
Eli Drinkwitz is a coward. He's a sham. He's a fraud. Just wants to inflate his record. Doesn't want to go play a real team.
But this is also, a detriment to Missouri fans. Like, this doesn't give Missouri fans a whole lot of like, hey, come travel to the bowl game.
Yeah, no.
But you should play the game. Honestly, here, hot take, play the bowl game that's closest to your home. That way you can get more people to show up.
I would never.
Columbia, Missouri to Memphis is what?
Not far.
6 hours?
Maybe.
That it is a Yeah, less than 6 hour drive. 5 hours and 49 minutes. Like, go to that game if that's where, like, that's.
Cowards.
I don't like it.
Losers.
I don't like it.
Dorks. Imagine saying you're a Missouri fan, but your team won't even play KU in football. Just remember, folks, Missouri football and SEC team is ducking Kansas.
Yes, that is correct.
Don't forget that.
Coming up next, we got On Second Thought, and we'll get to a little Chiefs Bengals and a little World Cup. The Dutch. What's your saying again?
There's two things in this world that I hate. Those that are intolerant of other people's culture and the Dutch.
And the Dutch. Is that Austin Powers, right?
Austin Powers and Goldmember. I believe Michael Caine delivers that line, playing Austin Powers' father.
And the Dutch. See if you can find that line.
Oh, I can find it. That's not hard. I'll find it.
Let's find that line. We got a quick timeout coming up next. Alrighty, on second thought, Fulton, what do you got?
This one's very simple. I'm not usually having to reverse course on my commentary on officials. Usually if I say they did something wrong, I'm often right. I have to apologize to our officials at the World Cup yesterday.
Okay.
They got the Japan call right.
How's that?
There's a specific part of a ball being over the touchline in soccer that matters, and it's the angle with which you're viewing it at. Because you got to remember, balls are spheres, which means they're wider at those wide points.
Yeah, the circumference.
Those points also must
diameter.
be completely over the line. From the aerial shot, the side of the ball was still on the line. So while looking at it from a low angle, the base was completely gone. The edge still overhung on the touchline, therefore that is still in. The physical shaping of the ball, the fact that a sphere has that width at the diameter point, kept it on. It looked off when you look at it low. The base of the ball was completely over. But when you look at it from the overhead view, which matters on determining if it's in or out, the overhang stayed on the touchline. I was wrong. They did get it right. Japan's second goal was completely legal. Barely, but completely legal.
Here's my thoughts on this. This is exactly the same situation as Terrence Gore getting caught stealing a base on third base in the playoffs in 2014 or 15.
It was one of those two.
By the letter of the law, he was off the bag by a millimeter. And he was ruled out. That's not the intention of the rule. Like, nobody would ever have called him out. Like, if there was not replay, that no one would have even gotten upset.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same situation, I think, with this one. Like, the ball looked out, no questions asked.
It looked over, but I think the physical dimensions of the object matter. Like, when it comes to being in or out, and the rule of soccer being the entirety of the object must be over.
And this is maybe more like the play clock in football. You really get 41 seconds.
You do, because
You know
there's
what I mean?
the delay of hitting zero and an official looking up to see if it snapped.
Yep. That's kind of how
Now,
I think this
can
really
be,
is.
and the reason why I'm okay with this interpretation of the rule of the being out of play is because it is even worded in the rule book as the entire physicalness of the ball must be over. It does matter with the way it is shaped. Like, you know, think about an NFL football. The rule is just the very tippity tip of the ball has to break the plane. There are plenty of times where, like, man, that doesn't look in. Like, most of the ball's out. Because that just little sliver is in, you're in. This is the same principle. It looks out, but a sliver of it is still on. Because it's a physical, like, it's the idea of, like, it goes up.
Oh, no, I got what you're saying.
But I also get your point of, it looks out, therefore you think, but by rule, they got it right, so I wanted to rescind that criticism of the officials. They got it right.
I was totally wrong about Iowa State and TCU on Saturday. I thought it would be a low-scoring game. I thought Iowa State's defense might give TCU some trouble.
Were you wrong?
I even bet the under. And
Buddy,
TCU
you can't do
went
that.
and scored 62.
They did.
Man, was I wrong there?
You're
I
wrong.
I was like, the over-under's 48? There ain't no way. TCU's going to score maybe 27. We know Iowa State's offense sucks.
Yeah.
I thought that this would be like a 28-10 game. They're scoring under 40. And the line was 48. And TCU's like, nah,
man.
We're scoring 60 ourselves. Oh, that was wrong.
That's fair.
That was my bad. From the Big O Tires text line, talking about K-State's greatest football game ranking right up there was November of 98. Bishop at QB. Nebraska comes to Manhattan on a 29th straight game winning streak over the Cats. And K-State beats them in a snowstorm. Face mask game. That's the second biggest win in K-State history to me.
Yeah.
0-3 title game, still the best. Because they beat a team that everyone thought was unbeatable. And that they didn't just beat them. They waxed them.
Yeah, they did.
And Teddy Sims intercepting it, running into the end zone. I think it was James Terry, big touchdown reception in 0-3. I remember Brent Musburger couldn't believe it. He could not believe what was happening in that game. I wonder what was the point spread in that game? I wonder if they even have that back.
I don't know if they even have that listed anywhere going back that far. Back in 03.
I wonder what that. Gosh, I wonder what that point spread was. Because I'm telling you, I bet you Oklahoma was a 17-point favorite, maybe even more in that game. If anybody knows that, hit us up on the Big O Tires text line. Now, I have to know this answer because this was a monster upset. I mean, monster. They lost to Marshall earlier in that year, lost to Texas, lost to Oklahoma State. They were not supposed to win that game. But I don't remember. Like the money, if you just bet money line Kansas State, I bet it was like plus 800. Like it was a ridiculous upset. It really, really was. But that's the second biggest win. This, I think, would surpass. If you beat TCU to win a Big 12 title, this might be number 2, or it's for sure number 3. For sure number 3. Coming up next, get a little World Cup and final thoughts on Chiefs versus the Bengals here on Mic'd Up. I will be partying at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning If Team USA takes down the Dutch.
Speaking of the Dutch.
All right, gold member. Don't play the laughing boy. There are only two things I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
What?
And the Dutch.
I told you I could find it.
Fantastic.
Really easy to
That's
find.
a great line.
It's a very popular scene from that movie.
Great line. Team USA is a big underdog
As they should be.
against the Dutch.
As they should be. You don't even know if Christian Pulisic is going to play.
I think he will.
He's going to try.
No, I think he'll play.
He's going to try.
Dude, if your name is Captain America and you got hit below the belt, you better be playing. But here is the betting for tomorrow. The Netherlands are minus 245.
Oh.
Team USA is basically plus 200.
Okay.
Now, it's not as big as a line with Argentina, Australia. Argentina is minus 1,800.
Yeah, Australia's got to be like, what, plus 2,000?
Plus 1,100.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Which tracks. Australia sucks.
I look at this as it's the best possible matchup to play.
Yep.
And they are not world beaters, the Dutch, but they are a good team.
Yep.
The hope is, to me, the USA wins 1-0. And the final 15 minutes of that game in regulation will be epic drama. I don't think the United States can score a ton of goals. So I think if they get it, I don't see the USA winning 2-1.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see that. I think Team USA has done a terrific job on the defense. They've allowed 1 goal in 3 matches. That is excellent. I mean, excellent.
And that 1 goal they allowed was on a penalty kick.
And it was a dumb penalty.
So honestly, in the flow of a match, they've yet to allow a goal.
So I look at this as an opportunity for the USA to get the win. If I'm the USA, I press forward. I trust the back line, and I think Team USA is going to win. I think this is a run, and I think their defense right now is playing well. The Dutch have 3 players who are tremendous. Your pool boy, he's awesome as a center back. Like, he's terrific. What's his name? What's his name?
Van Dijk.
Van Dijk, yeah. Your pool boy.
You calling him a pool boy just killed me.
Is he not a pool boy?
He plays for Liverpool.
Yeah, so he's a pool boy.
That's not how that works. They're the Reds.
He's a pool boy.
Whatever.
He's very good.
Yes. No, Virgil's fantastic defensively.
And that's why they only have kind of a 3-back look, is because they're like, well, we're really damn good there.
Yeah.
Here's who you have to look out for Team USA. Scoring goals for Netherlands. Cody Gakpo. That's the guy. Cody Gakpo. Scored in every match so far. He's really good. Got to keep him out of the net. I think Team USA is going to win, which is exciting because it would be maybe the biggest or second biggest win in USA history on the soccer pitch. I'm not counting 1930.
That's fair.
Anything before or during the Great Depression doesn't really count. Sorry. Was that during the dead ball era of baseball?
No, that ended
like 1920,
around 1920.
Right? Okay, so
around 1920 is when the dead ball era ended, and then they changed some things up.
Yeah, so we're gonna go with that. That doesn't count because they finished 3rd that year in the World Cup, but that doesn't count.
That's fair.
I mean, it
That's
counts,
fair.
but you know what I mean.
We're talking modern era here.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go
modern era of the game.
I'm gonna go with Team USA 1, the Dutch 0. Didn't they used to go by Holland for a while?
No, they still technically do.
And why are they called the Netherlands?
It's an endonym, exonym thing, and It's complicated. It's complicated country language situations. Like, there's a bunch of countries that go by different names. Holland is still, I think, technically an appropriate name to call the Netherlands. What it specifically refers to, I can't remember. But it's a name you are allowed to use.
That's kind of dumb, though, right?
I mean, but if we're going to get into a conversation on endonyms and exonyms for countries, we don't have time. And trust me, a lot of them are dumb.
Like, but for real, like, how you go, like, give me another one.
Like, country that.
Yeah, like you can call them Holland or you can call them the Netherlands.
I mean, Germany has two different names. It's Germany or Deutschland. That's mainly more of a who lives in it, who's out of it, but that changes. That matters.
I thought Deutschland was just German for...
That's what Germany calls their country. Their country is Deutschland. That's their country's name. Their exonym is Germany.
I did not know. I just thought in German, like the German language, it was Deutschland.
Their name for their country is Deutschland. Like, it's not like the German word for Germany. It's their country is called Deutschland. Like, that is the endonym for Germany. We call it Germany because we're the exonym part of it. Germans are only referred to as Deutschland.
Really?
Yes.
I
will say,
if
anybody wants it, one of my best friends, he's getting his PhD right now. He has an entire video on endonyms and exonyms. Like, I would link any of you a video on endonyms and exonyms. It's fascinating because, like, the U.S. is, I don't even believe, called the U.S. to a bunch of other places because they have their own exonyms for it. We call it the United States.
What do they call
Japan? Japan isn't Japan to the Japanese. I can't remember that one at this time, but Japanese people call it something different because they have an endonym for it versus Japan being an exonym.
Oh, we got a fight going on right now in Serbia and Switzerland.
No, that doesn't. Wow, the Swiss actually being aggressive for once in their life.
Right?
Wow, that's surprising.
They're up 3-2, and
I think Switzerland, I don't think has a different one. I think they're just the Swiss to themselves and other countries.
They were really almost
a bunch
like
of countries have endonyms and exonyms.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's a fun look into sometimes. I can't remember how Holland fits into the whole thing here. I really can't. But like, Germany and Deutschland's my go-to response. That's one I remember so well. But like, Deutschland's the endonym, Germany's the exonym. That's what other countries call it. They do not call it themselves.
We'll get a timeout. Coming up next, we'll wrap things up with the final word. All right, time to wrap this week up here on Mic'd Up. Fulton, what do you got for your mic drop?
This is going to be a very fun weekend of sports, and I hope it wraps up one very particular way. K-State, go win yourself a Big 12 title. It'll be awesome and fun for them that they do that. And while I don't think this will be the result, because nothing that good could ever happen, Lord, if the Americans beat the Dutch on Saturday and get advanced into the quarterfinals. That'd be so cool.
You ready for this? Money line, all three. Cats, parlay it up, baby.
Oh, boy.
Cats, USA, and the Chiefs. We're talking an epic Victory Monday coming up next week.
If that happens, that's the best Victory Monday we've ever had.
Epic.
The greatest Victory Monday in the history of this program, if that happens.
I don't know, Super Bowl, pretty big.
We weren't this program, though. Our program.
Oh, true. Yes.
Our
Facts.
program wasn't a thing.
Facts. All righty, we got high school hoops coming up at 5:30. It'll be Lansing taking on the Seaman Vikings and boys and girls action. Then we got the Kansas High School scoreboard show. We got K-State coming up at 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock kickoff. We got the Chiefs coming up at 2, 3 o'clock on Sunday. Got Washburn tomorrow at 12:45, tip-off at 1. Should be a lot of fun. If you missed anything, head to our website, 580www.com. Check out our YouTube page. Have yourselves an excellent weekend.